In this video, we're going to show you how to install a fuel pump on your Dodge Caravan located inside the gas tank. You want to go ahead and open up the hood. Locate your fuse box right here. It's just beside the battery on the driver's side. You're going to lift up on these two little tabs or press these two tabs in, open up the cover. Now inside you're going to find your fuses. You want to go ahead and locate the fuel pump fuse. Now if you start scrolling through, we're going to find it way over here on the lower right hand side. It is the fuel pump relay fuse, and that is identified as M37. So you're going to come over to the diagram of the fuse panel here, find the M37, and the placement on our fuse box is right over here. It's in row with 4 of the fuses horizontally positioned. It's a 10 amp fuse, and I'm going to use some small needle nose pliers. I'm going to reach right on in there. I want to grab that and go ahead and wiggle that out. Once you have that, go ahead and set it on top of the battery and go ahead and close this down. Next thing you want to do is hop into the vehicle, start it up, let the engine run until it dies out on its own. It might not even start again for you, but you want to go ahead and crank that to relieve any fuel pressure that is in the fuel injection system line. Use a 10mm socket. Go ahead and loosen this. Looks like it was already a little bit loose. Go ahead and disconnect the ground terminal on the battery and set that aside. Let's go ahead and use a 19mm socket. We're going to loosen and remove the lug nuts on the driver's side rear wheel. Once you have the lug nuts removed, grab the wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Open up the filler cap door on that driver's side back quarter. Unscrew that fill cap. Now I'm just going to go ahead and take a rag and I'm going to just tuck it in there. It's going to help prevent some of the vapors from leaking out in the air while we do this work. Now with the vehicle raised up on the front side of the tank, you're going to find these 2 lines right here. You want to go ahead and disconnect these here. Now you might have a little bit of residual gas in these lines, so you want to be careful. Have some towels, anything like that underneath to catch any residual gas. Now there's going to be little retaining clips on this here. You're going to put a finger on each side, gently spread those, and push up on the clip. Now you normally don't have to remove that clip completely. You want to go ahead and press on this center of this white clip and separate the elbow here from this line. And there's that little bit of gas that I had mentioned. Now the second one is right beside it here. This one here has a red clip where the other one had a blue clip. I'm going to push up on this little red retainer, the lock. Pull that up. And this has a black clip on it. Push in on that. Separate that. On the driver's side of the fuel tank, we have the filler neck right here. There's a hose clamp. We're going to use a 9/32 socket with extension. We want to go ahead and loosen this hose clamp. We want to make sure we can get this clamp nice and loose. Pop that off, slide that back. We want to go ahead and try and break this free from the filler tube there. So we're using our pliers here and we're able to get the hose loose on the neck here, but we can't remove it until we lower the tank, and then we'll be able to pop that off. On the back side of our tank, we have an electrical harness coming through, and it goes to this connector right here. Now there's a little lock tab right here, this red lock tab. We're just going to use a little flathead screwdriver and just kind of wiggle that out. We want to go ahead and unlock this connector. Normally you can pop that out with your finger, but there might be debris and stuff like that getting in there that'll keep that from popping out. Now I want to go ahead and separate this connector. You're going to press in on this tab and pull these 2 connectors apart. Behind the tank, you're going to notice this connector right here with a little black button on it. This particular one does not have a lock on the top side. You're going to press in on this black button and then grab the connector and separate this like so. Now there is this module right here that has an electrical connector going to it. Normally you can just press in on this little tab, but the bracket itself that it's attached to is pretty fragile. So we're going to use a 90-degree pick. Not only are we going to press on the side, but we're going to put a pick on the front side and undo that lock and then wiggle this connector off like so. On this hose right here, there is a retainer going into the chassis of the vehicle. Pop that out using your trim tool. At this point here, you want to go ahead and support the tank, whether you're using your jack or a tank lift like we're using here. Now, we're not raising the vehicle. Literally, once the pads hit the bottom of the tank, that is it. We just want to support it in place. If you're using a floor jack, you want to go ahead and make sure that you're using something to insulate the tank. You could use a piece of wood or something like that to try and cover the tank itself. It is oddly shaped, so you want to go ahead and balance this before you go ahead and lower this down all the way. On the back side of the tank, on the gas tank strap, you're going to find a 15mm bolt. Now there's going to be 4 of these. There's 2 straps, 2 bolts per strap. Now on these back bolts, there are brackets supporting this canister unit here as well. You can see it's now loose. That's why we disconnected all the electrical connectors and the hoses to it. We just don't want to take any chance of lowering the tank and cracking or stretching harnesses or tubes off of that. We're going to do the same on the front. Now on the passenger side of the gas tank, you're going to find the heat shield here. There's a couple of retainer buttons here securing this in place. Now the center of these pins pop out. You can try using your trim tool, but it's kind of tough to get in there. But in combination with some pliers, you can get behind and rock your pliers popping out the center. And then once that center comes out, the whole pin will pop out like so. Let's go ahead and do that on the rearward pin. On the back side, yours may have this little flap on here. You're going to peel that up. Go ahead and do the same thing. Lower the tank slowly. As you're doing this here, you want to go ahead and remember to start to disconnect the filler neck tube from the side of the tank. Slowly lower down the tank. And at this point here, the tank is starting to drop off to the right a little bit. It's being held up by that fuel filler neck. Let's go ahead and slowly start to work that off the side of the tank. And we do have our fuel lines that come down around the filler neck here to allow us a little bit more room. I'm going to go ahead and release these metal lines from the retainers. To do so, you can use a wide flathead screwdriver, put it between the retaining clip and just twist it, and gently open up the retaining lock and pull down on the metal line. That will release that there. Let's get it on both sides of the filler neck area. And go ahead and grab that filler neck and just work that rubber hose back and forth. You can gently pull down on the tank. Now remember, we don't have the tank too far down because there's still things attached on the top, so you don't want to drop this tank too far, just enough to go ahead and work the side here. Okay, with the hose separated, we're just going to lower the tank just a tiny bit more. And let's take a peek on the top and see what else has to get disconnected. Now on the top, we have a vent tube right here. This has a retainer where you press down on the top of it. I'm going to use a pair of pliers here to gently pinch in on the top of this and pull this vent tube off, like so. Now we have the line that comes down here, zips around, and it's held in place by a wire tie, at least ours is. We're simply going to cut that little wire tie, get rid of that. And as you follow this around, it connects to the top of the fuel pump unit. Now this has that little plastic retainer. We're going to push this off. And I'm going to take it off just to show you. It's one of these blue retainer clips. It does not have to get completely removed in order to do this, but I'm going to set that aside for now. And then it has a push button clip. Push it in and wiggle this line off of the port like so. I'm going to reinstall a retainer clip here for now. Do a quick inspection all over the top here. I don't see anything else attached to the top of the fuel tank, so we can go ahead and slowly lower this down a little bit more. On the top of our fuel sending unit here, we did go ahead and blow this off with air. It's not recommended to use a vacuum in an enclosed room to do this. Go ahead and blow it off with an air gun or air hose. That way there, you don't get any debris into the tank. Disconnect your electrical connector. Has a red safety lock on it, so just going to use our flathead screwdriver to go ahead and loosen or to unlock that. Press down on this tab on the back and work the connector off. We have the fuel line right here that has the red lock clip on it, tab on either side. Pop that out. Press on the tab on the other side to release this. Now there's a tiny bit of fuel left in that line. Now remember, when always doing a job like this, safety glasses and gloves is always highly recommended, not mandatory. However, safety is always an important thing when doing a job like this. Now we need to unlock our lock ring. This is where a brass punch will come in handy. You want to go ahead and use something like this here. You don't want to use a screwdriver and start hammering metal against metal. Well, if you create a spark, it might be the last job that you do. Go ahead and use your brass punch, and we're going to go ahead and start to work this. Now with the lock ring unlocked, go ahead and lift up on this unit. You want to pay attention to the top of the fuel pump unit, the direction of where the hose is, as well as this large tab pointing at the stamp where it says gas on it. Let's go ahead and pry this up. Now it is spring loaded, so once you pop it up, it'll kind of eject up and out. Now we have a catch can beside us here. There will be gasoline in the fuel pump sending unit, combination unit. Good, put that into the container. Now we have the seal here. You want to lift this up and out. You want to inspect where the seal has gone. If there's any debris in there, go ahead and get rid of that without wiping that into the tank. There's not much there because we already blew it off with the air hose, but any little bit of debris is always good if you can get that out. Take the new seal, drop that down into place. Should fit nicely right into that ring. Take your new fuel pump and float. Now this has to be installed. The rod itself will fit into the top, and there's a little retainer clip here. So you're simply going to put the rod into the hole, line that up, use your two thumbs and just press lead in. You can hear it snap into place, and you know that that is locked in. Lower the pump down into the tank. Pay attention to this tab. Line that up. Now remember, this will compress down. It is spring loaded. I'm going to take our lock ring, line this up, compress this down into the tank. Rotate that lock ring just enough where it catches and retains the fuel pump in place. Now go ahead and tap that lock ring. Now I want to make sure that the lock ring is completely locked in on all of our tabs, and ours is. We're now going to install the hose. Pop off the cap, set that aside. Line up this hose, push it on. You're going to hear and feel it snap into place, and then press your lock on. Install the electrical connector. Line that up. You're going to hear that and feel it snap in. Don't forget to press your red lock tab in. Now that we have the tank up, let's go ahead and install this fuel line here. Pretty much line it up and push this on. You're going to hear it and feel it snap in, and then engage that clip on the back side, lock that into place. We have our vapor line here. What we'll do is going to tilt our tank back a little bit, level this off. Pump up the tank a little bit more. Line up this hose. And we can hear and feel that lock into place. Let's go ahead and raise this up a little more. Let's go ahead and adjust the tank here, get this up and into place. Go ahead and line up the filler neck here. Go ahead and jack this up. Now, as we're pushing this up, you want to make sure that the gas tank straps are lining up with the holes, checking all your brackets. I'm going to grab my pliers and just kind of give this hose a twist to make sure that we're fully seated on here. It feels like we are down in place. So let's go ahead and bring our hose clamp down. Now I know we haven't put the straps on the tank yet, but our hose is completely bottomed out. The tank is where it needs to be, so we're at a safe point to go ahead and tighten down our hose clamp here. Make sure that's good and snug. Go ahead and get that bolt started there. I'm going to move over to the passenger side strap. Now we have that bolt caught, and we want to go ahead and install this line here. Just line that up with the mating line and push this on. And you're going to hear that click into place. Don't forget we have our electrical line here that needs to get connected. I'm going to go ahead and feed this up and over. Install this electrical connector. And then don't forget to press that red lock in. Install this connector here. Line that up. You can hear that snap into place. Line up the strap. All right, we got this one started. Let's get the passenger side front bolt installed. Now with all four of these bolts installed, we can go ahead and snug those down. Connect our lines here. Snap that on. Don't forget the retaining lock clip on the top side. Same thing here. Line that up. You're going to hear it and feel it snap in. Press down that retaining lock. With the tank fully anchored, go ahead and pop our hard lines back into the clips. And do the same for the front clip. Install your retainer here for the heat shield. Do the one for the rear. Now ours had a little pad on there that had some adhesive on it, which is not really good anymore. If yours is good or you find a way to stick this over that button, you want to go ahead and do so. Gonna lower our jack and remove that. Now we'll go ahead and remove our rag here and install your filler cap. Lock that in and close the door. Go ahead and grab that wheel. Get that lined up. Now we can go ahead and install the lug nuts. Once you get all your lug nuts installed, we'll go ahead and snug those down. Torque down the lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds. Connect the ground terminal on your battery. Go ahead and secure that. Make sure it's good and snug. Open up that fuse panel. I'm going to take that 10 amp fuse and our needle nose pliers and insert that into place. Once you have that fully seated, close this up. Now you want to hop into the vehicle. You want to prime the fuel pump 2 times. Turn the key to the on position once, turn it back 1 more time. That should allow that fuel pump to push fuel from the tank up to the engine. Go ahead and crank that key, start it up, take it for a road test. Everything should be good from there. You're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.